Now, nearly 35 years after the abduction, rape, torture and murder of Kashmiri Pandit nurse Sarla Bhat, the state investigation agency in Kashmir is set to file a 737-page charge sheet before a special court in Srinagar against 5 operatives of the banned Jammu Kashmir Liberation Front for the 1990 Sarla Bhat murder case. This development, viewers, marks a significant breakthrough in a 35-year-old targeted killing case that contributed significantly to the mass exodus of Kashmiri Pandits from the valley. Sources to NewsX have revealed that the charge sheet names top JKLF operatives in the planning, and murder, including Mohammad Yasin Malik and then Chief Commander of the JKLF, Khurshid Ahmad Chaklu, Abdul Hamid Sheikh, Mohammad Yusuf Sofi, alias Idris and Ghulam Mohammad Taplu. Joining me now on the broadcast is Mr. Ashwini Bhat. He is a Kashmiri activist. Mr. Bhat, I'd like to welcome you and this latest development on this case. What would you like to say?
Yeah, thanks for having Kali. Look, this is this is the justice being delayed, being delivered after more than 36 years now. But this terrorist, this Yasin Malik and his ilk, this is not the only case of Kashmiri Hindu targeted killing against him. He's got dozens of cases against him, and not only and there is justice awaited for that. For example, the Indian Air Force, a personnel that he has gunned down, and there is a case against him and countless others. But having said that, there are at least hundreds of targeted killings prior to our forced exodus of our entire Hindu community, and even in 1989-90, and since then as well. So I urge the government to ensure that there is speedy trial and opening of all those targeted killings of Kashmiri Hindus. On the same lines, on the same veins that this case has been pursued. But justice, it's been a delayed one, a long wait of 36 years, but I certainly welcome, and I urge that this guy, this terrorist, should be hanged, should be publicly hanged, it should be hanged until death for the countless murders, that cold-blooded murders that this guy has, this terrorist Yasin Malik has, killed countless innocent, Kashmiri Hindus. And also, I would also like to mention that he had a great lobby of so-called NGOs who had been hobnobbing and had been projecting him as a Gandhian with a gun. I urge the Home Minister, the HMO, the Home Minister, to also probe the funding of those NGOs who have been trying their best to save this terrorist and garner support for him, and file petitions and support him legally as well as socially, try to garner support for him.
Mr. Bhat, you're absolutely right, but the fact is that this has taken 35 years. There is a question that's coming to my mind that I have to ask you, but please stay on with me. I'll come back to you after addressing this breaking input with our viewers. Now, the charge sheet names Yasin Malik alongside Khurshid Ahmad Chalku, identified as the man who pulled the trigger, and 3 others: Abdul Hamid Sheikh, Mohammad Yusuf Sofi, alias Idris, and Ghulam Mohammad Taplu. The latter 3 are deceased. Malik is currently in judicial custody in connection with a separate terror financing case in which he is serving a life sentence. And I want to go back to Mr. Ashwini Bhat, who's a Kashmiri activist. Mr. Bhat, some argue that acknowledging atrocities against Kashmiri Pandits has not yet received enough attention. Do you agree? And if so, what should change?
Absolutely, absolutely. There has been no acknowledgement. There has been no, no remorse, if I may, no acknowledgement of an entire community of 3 lakh Kashmiri Hindus who were the original aborigines of Kashmir. My ancestry, dates back 5,000 years. That my ancestors for the last 5,000 years used to live and the natives of that place. And for the last 36 years, I am living the life of as a refugee in my own country. So yes, there is a lot to be done. First of all, there has to be an acknowledgement that it was a genocide basis our faith, basis our religion, and because of which for the last 36 years I am living outside my native place, which is Kashmir. And like me, 300,000 more people, some more Kashmiri Hindus living the life of in exodus. And secondly, there has to be a Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which which goes and looks into each and every targeted killing, and which is, the number is in hundreds, cold-blooded hundreds of murders of academicians, of bureaucrats, of common, Kashmiri Hindus, and every single murderer and their accomplice have to be tried, which is not being done, and there's enough water that has flown down, down jail since. And lastly, there has to be a very comprehensive rehabilitation policy for Kashmiri Hindus to be settled back in Kashmir, and there has to be a both political as well as rehabilitation and a one-place settlement under safety and security guidelines for the entire Kashmiri community, because we are at the verge of facing extinction of our culture, given the fact that we have been scattered for the last 36 years across the globe.
Absolutely, Mr. Bhatt. And what's interesting is that while being a journalist, I have to be absolutely neutral, but I also come from the region, so I understand exactly what you're saying. Let me just come back to you very shortly. Now, viewers, while Abdul Hamid Sheikh, Mohammad Yusuf Sofi, alias Idris, and Ghulam Mohammad Taplu are deceased, Mohammad Yasin Malik is presently in judicial custody in another case. Legal proceedings, including proclamation proceedings, have been initiated against absconding terrorist Khurshid Ahmad Chalku, who is believed to have exfiltrated to Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Mr. Bhatt is back with me. Mr. Bhatt, what would you like to say on this? And the other question, Mr. Bhatt, that I also want to ask you is that what message would you like to send to the family of Sarla Bhat as the case now moves forward after so many years?
Honestly, I am short of words as to what message. I don't think I have the courage or the guts to send any message to her family. I mean, imagine a young woman, at the prime of her youth, was killed by this terrorist, and it took the family 36 years for justice. So if at all I have to say anything, while we as a community have tried our best and tried hard for so many years to actually, to seek justice, not only for, Sarla Bhat, but for the hundreds of our fellow community martyrs. But I think it's been too long a wait. So if at all I have to say anything, I have to say, I would say sorry for such a delay. That the judiciary, the political class, as well as the so-called the NGO and the social so-called the NGO cabal has been wearing blinkers or has been silent for so many years. If there is, with any community, always I condone any act of, kind of terror or for that matter, injustice. But if there is a meager injustice met to any other, community, any member from any other community, all this NGO cabal is up in arms as if the heavens have fallen. But when it came to a dire genocide of a community of Kashmiri Hindus, everyone wore blinkers and everyone gone deaf.
Right, Mr. Bhatt, the kind of delay that's happened here, the massive delay, in fact, we're not talking 2 years, we're talking about 35 years, and it's undeniable that the delay is quite unfortunate. Let me just come back to you. Now, sources confirm that the charge sheet establishes offences punishable under sections 364, 341, 302, read with 34, 201 and 120B, sections 3/2, 3/3, 4 and 6 of the Terrorist and Disruptive Activities Prevention Act, 1987 TADA, and sections 7 and 27 of the Indian Arms Act, 1959. Evidence collected during the investigation demonstrates that the murder formed part of JKLF's systematic campaign of targeted terrorist violence intended to spread fear among innocent civilians, particularly members of the Kashmiri Pandit community, create conditions for their forced displacement from the Kashmir Valley, and advance the secessionist agenda of the terrorist organization. The successful culmination of this investigation after 35 years is a powerful reminder, viewers, that the passage of time does not erase criminal liability. And I want to go back to Mr. Ashwini Bhatt. Mr. Bhatt, a number of films have been made on the subject of what Kashmiri Pandits have been through in Kashmir. And through cinema, perhaps we've been able to experience what the turmoil has been for people who are not from that region. But going back in history, if you'd like to say anything about everything that's happened.
To your point that many movies have been made, but to be very honest with you, the only movie which kind of attempted at doing a very genuine and honest depiction of what actually happened to Kashmiri Hindus was the Kashmir Files alone. And prior to that, there were a few movies, but they were, honestly, they were not even close to the reality as to what, the level of genocide or the extent of the genocide that happened to us. I think there's still the justice is long awaited. It's a long way to go, to be very honest with you. And secondly, look at the extent of the penetration by this cabal of the so-called civil society and the NGO cabal. There was a time when this murderer had access to PMO, had access to the Prime Minister's office, and there are pictures where he is actually, wining and dining with the erstwhile Prime Minister of India. So you can, I mean, look at the extent of the penetration by this, by these, the sympathizers of these terrorists, that they actually had then gotten a free pass and access to the Prime Minister's office as well. So, and for the last so many years, there have been, so many candlelight marches and so many, seminars portraying, working hard, this NGO cabal working so hard to, kind of project this terrorist as some, kind of goddamn saint. Again, I would, like I said, I would urge the judiciary, because this is the rarest of rare, and this is not by the way, this is not the only crime that this guy or the murder that the terrorist has done. There are countless more allegations and credible evidences against, including against this terrorist, Yasin Malik, including the killing of 4 IAF personnel. This terrorist should be hanged till death, and that too publicly. That's my demand.
Right, Mr. Bhatt. I'll come back to you after addressing this with our viewers. Now, the prosecution case is founded upon a strong, cogent and mutually corroborative body of evidence, which unequivocally establishes the involvement of the accused in the commission of the offence. The evidence includes, number one, protected witness testimony, including statements recorded under Section 164 CRPC identifying the deceased in the company of the accused immediately prior to her abduction and describing the manner in which JKLF terrorists abducted, drugged and executed her. Second, independent eyewitness accounts identifying Muhammad Yusuf Sofi alias Idris, Abdul Hamid Sheikh, Khurshid Ahmad Chalku and Ghulam Muhammad Taplu as active participants in the assault and killing of the deceased. And with that, of course, I want to go back to Mr. Bhatt. Mr. Bhatt, we were talking about the film Kashmir Files, the fact that you reminded me and our viewers of it. And viewers, it takes 2 days to get over something after you watch something like this. And that is the kind of, history that Kashmiri Pandits have in Kashmir and what's been done to them. But I want to talk to you, Mr. Bhatt, about all of these sections now coming out, the details of the charge sheet that have been filed. Anything that you'd like to say on that?
Yeah, look, I am not an expert, a law expert, so I may not be able to, kind of give you a correlation of what these acts, correlate or eventually mean in terms of the punishment. But like I said, the demand from our community and the family of late Sarla Bhat is that this terrorist should be hanged till death. And like I said, he has got n number of other cases, for which some cases are already being, parallelly being, heard in the court of law. For example, the killing of 4 IAF personnel. So I know for a fact that even that case has been, there are hearings going, and we at any point in time we should have a final verdict on that as well. So I think as a part of the as a part of a lesson or as a part of at least a solace to the families of the innocents that this murderer killed, the least solace would be that this guy be hanged, and that to hanged in a public place. So he should be made an example of, there should be a judiciary should make an example out of him.
Right, Mr. Bhatt, I'll come back to you. Now, in the charge sheet, pointing out memos and site identification proceedings which corroborate the route taken by the accused during the abduction and the precise location where the deceased was executed. Medical legal evidence establishing multiple firearm entry and exit wounds, extensive internal injuries and clear signs of physical torture sustained by the deceased prior to her death. Forensic Science Laboratory ballistic examination confirming that all 3 cartridge cases recovered from the scene were fired from the same 7.62 into 39 mm firearm, thereby fully corroborating the eyewitness accounts of burst fire from an assault rifle. Now, recovery of the JKLF terror claim note from the scene of occurrence, wherein responsibility for the killing was claimed and senior JKLF functionaries were named. Although the CFSL New Delhi was unable to conclusively attribute the handwriting to any specific individual, the authenticity and evidentiary value of the note are independently reinforced by contemporary media reports published immediately after the incident, which carried the same claim of responsibility. Electronic evidence, including an authenticated televised interview of Farooq Ahmed Dar, alias Bitta Karate, duly preserved with a certificate under Section 65B of the Indian Evidence Act, wherein he acknowledged participation in the targeted killings carried out on the instructions of senior JKLF leadership, thereby reinforcing the existence of an organized command structure responsible for the commission of such crimes. Testimony of employees confirming that the deceased continued to discharge her official duties despite prevailing threats and was last seen at the hospital on the day she was abducted. And with that, I'd like to thank Mr. Bhat for joining me and for his time on NewsX today. And now shifting focus. India successfully weathered the economic fallout of the recent Gulf conflict